Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. The newly prepared brochure, newly prepared brochure. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Pranam, Pranam. Pranam, Pranam, Pranam. We have all been associating with the Anandashram for many decades. We have been trying to understand the approach of beloved Papa to have some idea about spiritual life, spiritual progress. All of us have got some concept about the ultimate goal to be scaled. We were blessed with a staunch faith in the power of the name, and He has also made us to enjoy the sweetness of chanting. As far as possible, He made us to live a simple life, righteous life. But with all that plus points, still we feel there is insufficiency in our spiritual effort. So how to make further progress? We have been blessed to travel this much, but somehow He makes us feel it is not giving the necessary push to move faster towards the goal. With this idea, when we try to go through Papa's teachings, we have shared this many a time, but still, for the sake of newcomers as well as for us also, it will help us if we go through Papa's wonderful quotation. of going back to our source, and how this nama is linked with that. How does it help us to move further in all the activities in which God has placed us? What we are going to read is not something new to all of us. Probably in a systematized way it has been presented, that's all. So we will just read. 2 days back this particular brochure has been drafted, and we will read it out and then see for ourselves. It starts with, one of our experience. Many years back, many decades back, when God blessed us with an opportunity to go to Himalayas, when we were traveling from Uttarkashi to Gangotri, suddenly there was a landslide. The bus had to stop, and we were told that it will take 4 or 5 hours for the department to bring the JCB to remove the blockage. So we all had to get down. It was a forest area. So we all had to spend about 4 or 5 hours. Nobody has taken anything in the morning. We must have started Uttarkashi by 5 o'clock or 5:30 in the morning. So we started walking. 40, 50 passengers in that bus. As we were walking, we saw a small hilltop on which there was a tea shop. Immediately all our attention turned towards that. We all started climbing up. As soon as we reached that place, all these people crowded round the person who prepares the tea. Suddenly a Sardarji came forward, took our hand, and then pushed us through the crowd and brought us before the person who was making tea. And he said in English, he comes from your place, because we were wearing dhoti. Evidna? He asked in Malayalam. When we said we are from Wayanad, then coffee, biscuits, so many things were given to us, and then they did not charge anything. And then the same Sardarji caught hold of one person, young man, and brought him to us, and he said, he is from your place. So he is from this Balisheri, near Balisheri. He is an engineer there working in ECC. As soon as he came forward, he said, Vividana, we are totally strangers. But the moment the language, both of us had the same language, it brought us an affinity. So from there this starts. When we travel far from the place of our residence, and if we happen to hear our native language spoken by someone, we immediately turn to look at the speaker. This is because the language, the common factor, draws our attention and makes us experience a sense of affinity toward that person. Our scriptures and masters keep on stressing that there is a common factor in the entire creation of which we are not aware. Let's say we feel separate from each other. The common factor has not been recognized by us. Saints, from their experience, have placed before us various techniques to identify the common factor, God, so that we will be able to free ourselves from the sense of otherness. For enabling us to travel on these lines, Anandashram was set up in 1931 by our masters Param Pujya Swami Ramdas, who was endearingly called Beloved Papa, along with Param Pujya Mataji Krishnabai, who was his first and foremost disciple. At the time of the inauguration, which is there in this board, as soon as we come out, if we see the board, it is there. At the time of inauguration, Beloved Papa stated that the ideal of the ashram is universal love and service based upon a vision of divinity in all beings and creatures. Vision of divinity means identifying the common factor, our origin in all of us. In this context, the following words of Beloved Papa will help us start our journey of identifying the common factor. Quote, try to enter into the mysterious origin of your and the world life. Those of us who have got glimpses of divine vision, this is the first chapter. Try to enter into the mysterious origin of your and the world life. To know who you are in reality is the real quest. To arrive at this truth, you have to, by a systematized process of thought and discipline, transcend all human limitations set by the body, mind and intellect, and then, embarking on the realm of the spirit, realize your immortal, changeless, blissful nature. This constitutes spirituality. When an effort is made to move on these lines, we realize that although initially we thought that our parents were our origin, we can soon infer that they were merely the instrumental causes, because they were also born to their parents, who were in turn born to their own parents, and so on. At best, we may be able to trace back a few generations, but not all the way to the origin, the first cause. This applies to everything, you know. When we use chili, most of us would have cultivated chili in our kitchen garden. We know, we sow the seed, it sprouts, it becomes a plant, then flowering, then fruition. But this seed has come from another plant. The coconut tree which we have, it has come from a seed coconut. That seed coconut has come from another tree. Anything that, whether it is beans or any vegetables, you try, pulse, suppose we take rice. We all know, we sow the seed of paddy and then it becomes, it sprouts, and then we transplant, we give whatever is necessary. Finally the harvest comes. One single seed has sprouted into 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 tillers, and each tiller will bear this bunch of crop. So we try to analyze all these things, okay? But we don't know the first paddy, you know. We don't know the first tur dal, urdu dal, moong dal. Anything you take, first. So similarly, we also cannot go beyond certain. Now our efforts turn to getting to know the origin from which everything is sprouted, including us. When the intellect pleads its inability to find the first cause, we can seek the answers from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in which the Lord said, Bijam Mam Sarvabhutanam. I am the eternal seed of everything. It's a very powerful statement. No? We must have read this many a time, but has it gone deep into us? For enabling us to know our own source, as stated by Beloved Papa, try to enter into the mysterious origin of your and the world life. At the beginning, we do not have any clear-cut idea about God. We have been told by masters that He is not an entity, but a subtle and mysterious power. Papa introduces Ram as the subtle and mysterious power. So easy for us to connect ourselves. This power is the seed from which the present sense of individuality came into being. When we, in the form of a seed, were in our mother's womb, in 9.5 months, the same power enabled us to develop 200 and odd organs which function in a well-coordinated manner. We function as an individual only because of this kshetra, no? Think about it. Then when we came out into the world, we did not bring anything with us. The power which gave us life and the body is responsible for providing us with everything through Mother Nature. The air to breathe, we don't know how the air came. We don't know the water. We don't know the earth. We don't know the space. So the air to breathe, the water to drink, the earth to exist, space to move about, and the 98.4 degree temperature to keep us alive. The sun, rains, metals, minerals, gases, vegetables, fruits, pulses, all these things have been made ready by the same power. Papa, in one of his talks when he was abroad in 1954, he said, "What is spirituality?" This question was asked, and in the answer he touches like this. Now we realize that we are what we are because of the bounteous gifts given by Him through Mother Nature and society. When we deal with men and matters, as we grow, our dependence on creature comforts also increases. None of them are made by us. Even the basic requirements like brush, paste, soap, wash basin, commode, dress, language, food, profession have been provided by Him through society. Hence, in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, "I am the intelligence of the intellect. Buddhir buddhivadamasmi." Primordial intelligence. The other day, it was shared. For anything to come, there are three aspects of causes, One is the material cause, second is the instrumental cause, third is the efficiency cause. Efficiency cause means intelligent cause. Otherwise, nothing will come out. Material is there. Instruments are there. But if I don't plant, if I don't sow the seed, if I don't loosen the soil and apply manure, mulches, and allow it to decompose, and then when it is ready, I sow the seed. Because as soon as the seed sprouts, the roots will be tender. It cannot penetrate into a hard soil. So it needs a loose soil. That is why we plow, or with mamati we make it, the hard soil is made. Even when we are planting suppose a flower plant we dig, we make it loose. 1.5 into 1.5 into 1.5, we take a pit and then we fill it with surface soil because we make it loose. As soon as a seedling or seed is sown, as soon as it sprouts, the roots are so gentle, it cannot penetrate into a hard surface. We make it possible. Think about it, So we will also be able to know all these things only when we go through the whole. That is how we loosen our heart. Otherwise, you will just hear and forget about it. And that is what is called intelligence. That loosening the surface. Not merely casually looking at it and then go. The probing nature, Whatever we enjoy today is because of the probing nature of person selected by Him. Everybody does not get the same. Whether it is in the field of communication, whether it is in the field of agriculture or plantation crops, whether it is in the field of IT, whether it is in the field of anything that we come to know. Any profession, if we go back to the origin, whether it is a doctor's profession or a lawyer's profession or a mechanic's profession or an engineer's profession, think. Somebody should bring that intelligence. So in Bhagavad Gita he says, Buddhir buddhivadamasmi. I am the intelligence of the intellect. Now we realize that what we are what we are because of the bounteous gifts given by Him through Mother Nature and society. But when we deal with men and matters, we do it from our me and mind level. oblivious of our original nature. Should we not remember our origin and react based upon that? Constant remembrance of our origin helps us see the common factor in as many creations as possible, facilitating us to expand from me to we and then from me to him, which in turn reduces the dominance of me and mine. To facilitate this expansion, our Master, beloved Papa, has placed before us the triune path of Nam, Sa, Seva and Dhyan. So we give a name, we put a label on that origin. Any name we are comfortable with. That is why here it is Ramnam. Being an organization, we should have some uniformity. Otherwise people who come here with different names, it won't be nice, For the sake of unanimity, here it is Ramnam. So Nama. Nama to remember him, the origin. That is the one that makes us to stretch ourselves to as many creations as possible. Then again we start thinking, that is why he gave us first family. In the family life, first we stretch ourselves to mother, father, brothers, sisters, uncle, Other than outsiders, we get an affinity. The first lesson. Mataji always used to say, universal love and service should begin from one's own house. After we grow, the relationship does not become so close. Why? We have not understood this fact. Because the me and mine becoming stronger and stronger, the relationship we have with our parents and brothers and sisters and fathers and uncles, it gets reduced because the me and mine is becoming stronger and stronger. We are not stretching ourselves fully to them. Think about it. So here, through Nama, so while chanting Nama, if we are very clear that we are chanting the name of one who is in everybody, who is the common factor, who is the first cause of everybody, then we will be able to slowly stretch. Because the same seed has sprouted. Puja Swamiji used to say in one of his articles that when we see a tree, in the tree there are varieties of expressions. The branches, the leaves, the fruit, the flower, each one thinking that it is separate from the other. But the base is the same. The bark of the tree, the branches of the tree, the tender leaves of the tree, the matured leaves of the tree, the flowers of the tree, the fruits of the tree, apparently they are all different, but it comes from the same root. So Puja Swamiji said in his sadhana, he was trying to identify the common base for the multivarious expressions. So these are all additional points we are getting, So Nama to remember him, Seva to serve him in all forms. In all forms means, everything that we deal with, right from the moment we get up till we retire to bed. Not only human beings, to serve him in all forms, animate and inanimate, and dhyana, to feel his presence within, first within and then without. So we live, we work, we deal with men and matter. We also try to shape our mind and heart, trying to manifest the divine spark that is within us. At the moment, unknowingly, we are only projecting the me and mine. because we are not aware of the common factor in us. So the Nama chanting should be such. The Nama chanting should be such that whenever there is a break, it should immediately connect us with that. Oh, I shouldn't have thought like that. I shouldn't have talked like that. I shouldn't have done like that. This must come to me. So my Nama chanting, if I go with this, that I am trying to become aware of the source from which all of us have sprouted. We live, we work, we deal with men and matter. We also try to shape our mind and heart, trying to manifest the divine spark that is within us. Ultimately, what comes out of this effort is harmony at home, harmony at the workplace, harmony with friends. We will be able to harmonize ourselves with others. Harmony comes only when we gel with others, you know. We do not isolate ourselves from others, first of all. We do not become an island. We become one with it. Just like the other day when we were going through Taittiriya Upanishad, where he has dealt with this origin. So in that, in one of the expositions, we are all made of Panchabhutas, and each Panchabhuta has got a characteristic. We are made up of the space, earth, air, water, fire. If we look at the water, immediately we put any color, it accepts. We put anything, sugar, it becomes sugar water. Salt, salt water. It doesn't resist. Become gel with it, one with it. Think about it. These are all the things which we can learn from our practical life. So the harmony means that, we rise a little higher than our present level, so that the harmony is restored. If we stick to our rights and wrongs from the me and mine level, there will be disharmony. And the same applies to our workplace. So harmony, this is what we want. We don't want any moksha or anything. We want harmony at home. We want harmony at workplace. We want harmony with friends. In this way, a parallel development takes place. Externally universalizing our vision, inwardly spiritual growth and fulfillment. This is the motto of Anandashram. The lives of beloved Papa, Puja Mataji and Puja Swami Sachidanandaji, who joined the ashram in 1949, were testimonies of these ideals lived out in day-to-day lives. One more quotation of Papa. Rise above name and form, and you experience your oneness with all existence. The sense of duality, be it between you and the world or between you and God, is the offspring of ignorance. So soar to the height of this transcendent truth, where all forms and lives resolve into one. Exploring our origin, the crux of spirituality. Something like this. Because when we start knowing about spirituality, when Papa says the spirituality that cannot be applied in actual life is no spirituality. And when we try to understand, so far we have understood that spiritual life means going to ashram, learning shastras, going to temples, observing certain vratas, leading a separate pattern of life, not common run of life, sannyas or something like that, no? All these things are spiritual. Leading a married life, professional life, social life, this is all worldly life. This is how we have developed it, knowingly or unknowingly. Papa demolishes this. There is no divide between spiritual and worldly. Everything is spiritual. Provided we try to identify ourselves with the source of our being. Because everything and everybody has come from the source. Everything and everybody are sustained by the source. Everything and everybody goes back to the source. With this background, if we go through Shastras, with this background, if we start analyzing our life, the lives of Mahatmas, then it becomes clear that all of them have been able to identify the common factor, God. And he has also given us some clues that God is, life is the expression of God. So this life force is same, everywhere. That's why yesterday, you remember, we were reading. What were we reading? Forgotten. No. Everybody has forgotten. Anybody remembers anything? I will again read. Okay. Papa's words, very strong words. The life principle that activates our being is the same. We all breathe the same air, walk on the same earth, and are equally entitled to the enjoyment of the amenities which nature provides. The earth yields its rich gifts to all alike. So also all creature comforts, including the language gifted by society. The differences between man and man on the material plane are, in truth, unnatural, improper. Why? For the component parts and the composition of human bodies. Please think about it. All of us are made out of these 5 elements. And all the composition has is nearly these 200 organs. The composition and the component parts and the qualities inherent in them are not diverse and conflicting. If we look with the pure vision that belongs to an enlightened mind, we do not see any clear-cut line of demarcation that separates, isolates man from man, one set of people from another, one nation from another. We are all parts of a stupendous whole. We are units that form the world community or our family. So we can live and act as members of a brotherhood, world brotherhood or federation. So true spirituality therefore signifies the linking of the individual soul with the cosmic soul. The soul does not belong to any caste, creed, race or nationality. Its nature is universal. Inherently, it is pure, enlightened, free and blissful. Then that Maha Upanishads, that mantra, beautiful. Ayam nija paroveti gananam laguchedasam udara charidanam tu vasudaiva kutumbagam. The Upanishad says, who discriminate, this one is a friend, the other one is a stranger, are people with petty mind. Laguchedasam. People with evolved consciousness, udara charidanam, embrace the entire world as their own family. So this concept, commonness, we may not be able to raise up to this level, but to some extent, we can. Our association, Papa Mataji would be extremely happy, because Papa always tells you, remember this, think in terms of universal. Talk in terms of universal. Do in terms of universal. Not in terms of individual. So now we slowly becoming clearer to us. Whatever we handle from morning till night, they are all a gift of God through His creation. I have not brought anything. So when He has given me through His creation, should I not ensure that the life which He gave me should be a payback to Him? And therefore, all my thoughts, all my words, all my deeds should be hitakaram, should be beneficial to others. At least I should ensure that it should not be detrimental to the interest of others. So in this way, we will be able to slowly progress. And the right concept while chanting, because Ram Nam is our mainstay. So while chanting, or in between chanting, or before chanting, or after chanting, if we try to dwell on these aspects, probably we may be heading towards this harmony in all places. At home, at the workplace, with friends. So for all that, we should know about the source. Not only in one article, in so many quotations he has brought out this. Go to the root, go to the root, go to the root. At that time we couldn't understand really what exactly he meant by the root. Because when we go to the root, then only we know the oneness, that we have, all of us are sprouted from the same source. Initially it may look to be a tall order, theoretical, intellectual, logical, but as we keep on moving further and further, slowly it opens up. Yeah, it is the truth. Every object reminds me. I may fail, I may forget. Again I try. So this analysis, this is what Papa wants every one of us to reflect, to contemplate. No? Deeply into all these things. The other day when we were plumping deep into these words, then only we happened to go through Taittiriya Upanishad, Brihadaranya Upanishad, Kenopanishad, Atma Bodh, but whatever Lord Shankara or Maharshis have said in the Upanishad, Papa was able to understand this through his experience, and he brought it out. With this background, when we go back, and then when we read those mantras, then it becomes very, very clear. So his reflection has made him aware of all these sublime truths expounded in Shastras. Not that he started learning the Shastras and then trying to implement. He first experimented on his life and found out the truth and then placed it before us so that you can tally with the Upanishads. So it again proves a deeper life, a contemplative life, a reflective life will help us to reach that stage. That is the path he chose and he placed it before us. Is it becoming clear?
Yes, Swamiji. Yes, Swamiji. Yes, Swamiji. Yes, Swamiji.
We have to keep on hammering this truth. When we were all children, when the tables were taught, we used to learn by heart. You remember? In Malayalam we say, O rendu, irendu, nalu, moorendu, aru, nalu, because this repetition, no? At that time it was mechanical repetition. But as we stepped into further classes, those repetitive one which got imprinted in our heart comes to our help. Without any calculator we can now do it, no? Even now. So similarly, we have to keep on repetitively emphasizing or hammering this truth to ourselves, so that slowly it will percolate into our thinking pattern, And slowly it will further go down to the very life's activities. The tangible gain will be nothing is irrelevant, nothing is unimportant, nothing is insignificant. Because everything is His. When Papa kept on telling us, we couldn't understand because it was not possible for us. Constant God remembrance. This constancy, how can I be constant when I am involved in so many activities? It is impractical for me. That was the first view all of us must have had. We have respect for our master. We have faith in our master, but we are unable to implement it. But now we know. Constant remembrance is possible when we try to connect Him with anything and everything that we handle or He makes us to handle. And chanting helps us to a very great extent to remind us of this truth. That chanting is for remembrance, chanting is for remembrance, chanting is for remembrance. So 2-3 things have figured now. One is to try to develop our connection with the source of our being. Then try to connect this with anything that we handle throughout our day's activities. We can try, we may fail, we may forget, doesn't matter. We try. And also we evaluate whether the dominance of me and mine is reducing. Not because that somebody asked us to reduce it. We become aware that we are what we are because of the factors other than us. Because behind even our very achievement outside, we should be confident. The other day we were watching the landing of our Chandrayaan, no? Many of you might have been. Even that critical moment, that 5:30 to 6:05 or 6:10, whenever they concentrate on the chairman, what is his name? Somnath. If you find, he was chanting God's name. Even when the first landing took place in 60s, by, what is his name? Forgot. So then, immediately as soon as he landed, he said, God's glory to him. So when we try to bring in the dimension, the dominance of me and mine get reduced. We become aware. You gave us a life, you gave us an intelligence, you gave us a field to explore, and you supplied whatever that is needed, and you now made us to fulfill. That is the feeling. So we are seeing it. That is why in those speaks, Papa says, remember, material science and spiritual science should go hand in hand. Both of them are complementary to each other. Bereft of material science, we will not be able to improve our standard of living. Bereft of science, spiritual science, we will not be able to improve our quality of life. The being, the connectivity with others, never really, which is called values, All these values come from spiritual science. If values are not in there, I become a brute, animal. So spiritual science offers me the quality of my life. Material science offers me to improve the standard of my living, creature comforts. Both should go hand in hand. Because nothing is irrelevant, nothing is unimportant, nothing is insignificant. This is what Papa has been trying to make us aware. Through many of his teachings, he is making it explicit now. Only in 2 or 3 words he gives the hint. While chanting, he said you should chant with the feeling that you are chanting the name of one who is within you, who is making you to chant. So the probing nature in us should be, reflecting nature in us should enable us to identify something of that power. Ultimately, we land as the life force. And in another statement, he says, outer activity should be compatible with inner aspiration. Inner aspiration is to become one with him, to know him, to become aware of his presence. So all my outer activities should be focused on, zeroed on to this. And he also gives us a clue in the dhyana. Utterance of God's name is to make the mind ultimately still, free from all thoughts. In another quotation, he says,
Swamiji?
yes,
Swamiji?
yes.
Can you please explain material science and spiritual science should go hand in hand சொன்னீங்க அது can you please
yes. So, we will come back to that. But before that, when you was talking about silence, the source, a few words of Papa. Bhajan must lead you into silence. Silence not merely orally, but mentally. That stage of silence you must reach soon, without going on making noises all the life. Utterance of God's name is to make the mind ultimately still, free from all thoughts. In that stillness it is that you know and realize God. Out of silence, tremendous forces are released, wonders are worked. Learn to be silent. Not merely outer silence, inner silence, silence of the mind. When we recede into the depths of silence within us, we arrive at the true basis of our life. When he says Nam Seva Dhyan, how he has brought out this Dhyan, He says when we recede into the depths of silence within us, we arrive at the true basis of our life. We discover that from this source, all life and manifestation have come forth in their amazing variety and multiplicity. It is at this source that we discover the eternal fountain of peace and joy. Until an individual gets the vision of this fundamental existence, root, very important, no? Until an individual gets the vision of this fundamental existence, he will be simply groping on the surface, and therefore in the dark, in pursuit of vain and evanescent things, believing that these can yield him the true peace and happiness which his soul hungers for. He is beyond our comprehension. Therefore, silence is he. Silence is Brahman. The self does not require silence. It is always silent. So like that, for anything and everything, his reflection, his contemplation has come out has brought out this sublime, profound, deep, subtle truths in an understandable manner to all of us. So we have to keep on contemplating on it. So, because each one of us are asking ourselves, we have been doing all these. In his case, he was able to scale it in 2 years' time. So what is it that I should do the fine-tuning now? Which are the areas where I should do the fine-tuning now? So every now and then in our journey, we have to evaluate, and see where we get stuck anywhere. That is why every now and then he prompts us to go to the source. Because that is the one common denominator, common factor that binds everything in the universe together. Acha, now coming back to the material science and spiritual science. Matter is also produced by him only, the spirit. And he gives the intelligence to analyze. For example, water. No? When the water is given to us, he gives us the knowledge to know that it is H2O. When he gives the air, about which we have no idea, he makes us to probe deep into it. And then finally we come to realize that in this breathing, oxygen goes inside, excess of carbon dioxide goes outside. It is not because of this truth, not because of the awareness of truth, the truth has come. No. First the matter is there, na? So it is interlinked. Spiritual scientists and material scientists are both plumbing deep into the origin of the matter and the spirit. Matter and spirit are not two. They are interlinked. One is the abstract, the other one is manifested, that's all. So the spiritual scientists, when they plumbed deep into it, unearthed this existence of the spirit in all of us, and then gave the needed intelligence to its creation called the human being, to plumb deep into it the matter which has come from him, and then make use it for the welfare or comfort of its creation. So it is all the making of that power. That is why it is not separate. Somnath ji, even at the height, pinnacle of its joy, the hitting the target of landing the Chandrayaan, it is a tremendous feat. But even then he was aware of the power behind it. So behind every material advancement, we should know it is the spirit that is behind us. The impersonal and the personal. Spirit is impersonal. It has no name and form. Matter has got a form. It has got a characteristic. So a marriage between the spirit and matter provides all creature comforts, which also makes us to lead a comfortable life. But bereft of spiritual science, we will never be satisfied. We will never feel content. We will never be enjoying the eternal happiness. Because whatever happiness that comes, it is transitory, transient, impermanent. But to know Him, to realize Him, gives us that permanency, permanent nature. That is why He is called Anand, Satchit Anand. And Papa defined that Anand as objectless experience, objectless joy, happiness. A happiness which is not dependent upon the object. All these things will enable us, going deeper and deeper into it, will enable us to know the relevance of matter and spirit and give them equal importance in our day-to-day life. If there is an imbalance of anything, that will be reflected in our life. More on this tomorrow. Tomorrow is Sunday.
Yeah.
Or day after tomorrow. Enough food for thought. Start thinking about it. Don't just leave it like that.
Swamiji, Chandrayan awakened from the lullaby.
Chandrayan has awakened the lullaby.
Awakened?
Uncle, you can repeat.
For 15 days.
15 days?
Sleeping. They know that, no? No, what we are trying to understand is, behind everything there is a spirit, no?
Yes.
Motivating spirit. No? That is why when we keep on traveling on these lines, we will not, our joy will not depend upon anything on the matter. Our joy will be depending upon our awareness about Him.
Yes.
He makes us to do, okay. He makes us not to proceed, okay. He makes us to proceed, okay. Everything is okay for us. Behind every thought, every word, every deed, we try to become aware of Him. Whatever we may say at the outer level, whatever may be our expression at the outer level, at heart, we will always be full and complete. Think about it. Those of us, that is why Papa used to say, you concentrate on certain stotras, slogas, in a few, and that will enable us. We are out of touch, Every day, some Shanti mantras, something like that. Ultimately, all these things will lead to this only, to this thought. When we say Om, now we read out, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole theme has been capsuled in a small word, 2 words. That will give us, the more we think about it. How can we say, I thought only my family is my family. But here the Upanishad says, we are all members of one family. That will make us to think, the commonness. And it is true, it is not because it is thrust upon us. We all know that when we sit before the TV and if we find anywhere anything wrong, we are not happy about it. Suppose there is a landslide, so many people have died. Will anybody say nice? There is a heart in us which connects us with the afflicted, affected. Then suddenly there is something binding, unknown factor. That is why if something happens in Mexico, something happens anywhere in the part of the world, we feel for a moment, oh God, it should not have happened. Tsunami or anything like that, earthquake. That is why suddenly people rise up to the occasion and do that. for a moment, they become one with the whole thing. These are all inherent in us. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So like that, because when Puja Swamiji wrote from Rishikesh, immediately after adopting sannyas, and Papa replied to that letter, and in that Papa gives some instructions. Om Shri Ram, not tomorrow, day after tomorrow. Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. 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 Shri Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.